Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the DC Animated Universe commentary.
It's so nice being able to talk about DC without getting into a Marvel fight.
Ted. Okay, but like, seriously,
This is why we don't talk about superheroes much unless it's specifically a superhero game.
one of these days, I'm gonna chain Ched to a tear.
Tear?
That sentence was an unexpected tongue twister, but basically one of these days I'm gonna chain Ted to a chair and just make him watch the entire DC Animated Universe in bulk. It's gonna be my method of brainwashing him, or turning it into a Clockwork Orange train wreck, whichever one of the two, you know. It probably would end up like that meme scene from Clockwork Orange, wouldn't it?
Possibly.
Just him going crazy and begging for mercy.
Well, the thing is, when he complains, we have to show him Iron Man, the animated series from like '95, and say, no, there's a reason this is better.
Well, like, he does have good shows to brag about too. The problem is that they're like much later shows. So
They're also fewer and further between.
yeah. I mean, I won't like trash '90s X-Men and Spider-Man all that badly. They're good shows.
They're perfectly fine. Well, X-Men is just very much a product of its time, but
yeah, they're good shows. They're just very, how should I put this?
Cheap by comparison.
Yes. Like Spider-Man swinging through the '90s CG city, or
you mean the '90s rectangles?
Yes.
Which, to be fair, is still weird at how that's the best adaptation of Black Suit.
It is. It really is. I like that show so much in certain places, but only in certain places.
It's also weird how Captain America and Iron Man technically make cameos and stuff, but it's like they never matter. It's like they wanted to do the shared universe thing like DCAU was doing, but they would never commit to it.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. Like, the most I think we ever got out of it was a few crossovers between Spider-Man and the X-Men.
Yeah, and then I think in one Iron Man episode, like, Spider-Man's arm appears once and shoots a web, and then he buggers off.
I mean, to be fair, early on, the DC Animated Universe wasn't doing much in the way of continuity or crossover themselves.
That mostly started with Superman, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about it, I think the Spider-Man and X-Men shows started off with more continuity than Batman did. Batman was just kind of a bunch of random stories that were produced in a certain order and then aired in an even more random order, because why not? Whoever decided to space the Cat and the Claw parts 1 and 2 with like 6 episodes in between them was high on something. They're not. It's not like Two-Face where there is time between the two parts. The Cat and the Claw is literally a cliffhanger that opens up the next day on the story continuing the next day, because they have 24 hours to solve the problem. Otherwise, a plague gets released on Gotham. Who decided that was a two-parter that could be split up? The airing order of Batman the Animated Series is bonkers. But I suppose it's better than watching in production order, where production order just sort of bottom loads the series with a lot of subpar episodes early on. And the first Joker episode is Christmas with the Joker, which is a great Joker episode, but a horrible first Joker episode.
It was also one of the few episodes that was, I think, voiced over by Tim Curry first, and then Mark Hamill went over it later.
Oh. Wait, Tim Curry?
Yes, Tim Curry was initially cast as the Joker, and for whatever reason, they just didn't feel like it was working out. But some episodes were technically voiced and animated over before that point, so that's why, like, the production order, the first few Joker episodes don't quite sound like Hamill's Joker as far as tone and dialogue.
I was just watching The Last Laugh yesterday, and I had a thought that Hamill wasn't quite into the Joker role yet.
Yeah, it was probably because it was voiced by Tim Curry first.
Okay, that makes sense. Tim Curry as the Joker. Huh. Yeah, I can see why that wouldn't work. I'm sorry. He's just like, Tim Curry is great. I love Tim Curry, but I just can't picture him as a Joker.
He'll go to the one place not yet corrupted by superheroes.
Like, I can
The
picture
fifth
him.
dimension.
I can picture him as like other Batman villains, Ra's al Ghul, maybe. Uh, the Joker, though, really? Who decided on that casting? Who thought that was a good idea? Like, now that I'm thinking about it, I could definitely picture him as a Ra's al Ghul. Maybe a campier Ra's al Ghul, but, you know, a Ra's al Ghul. I like, by the way, how they mispronounce his name for the entire series.
Yeah.
And then in Batman Beyond, they actually have Terry mispronounce it the correct way and have Talia correct him.
Yeah.
That was a good gag.
Now that I think about it, I could see Tim Curry doing a good Clock King.
Clock King, yeah.
Kind of like the neurotic, you know, just weird guy.
Clock King might have been more memorable if Tim Curry had voiced him. Huh.
Yeah.
He's kind of forgettable as is.
I mean, he's kind of a forgettable villain in general, but...
I think the only, like, memorable episode that he's ever a part of is Task Force X way up in JLU.
At least they couldn't call it Suicide Squad, so...
Well, Task Force X, I think, is an alternate name in the comics. It's like...
Well, no, it's the quote-unquote official name, but no one calls it that.
Yeah, but, like... it's kind of like... calling Deathstroke Slade Wilson. Like,
to be fair, I still like Slade better than Deathstroke, so...
It is a cool name, yeah. That's another show that I need to watch, but the problem with Teen Titans binge watching is that the early episodes are pretty weak.
The first season's fairly weak because it went way too hard on the anime style.
Yeah.
They toned it down significantly more after season 1.
Yeah, the show starts to fall into that DC animated universe. You can sort of take it seriously.
It's one of those things where it's like it's not a perfect fit for the DCAU, but it's like it's just close enough.
Well, it's not part of the DCAU.
I know it's not, but it's one of those. It's like it fits okay enough. Like you could see young Robin being, you know, the angsty teenager, and then his friends lighten him up, and then, you know, by the time we get to Batman the Animated Series, that's why he's kind of more the lighthearted Joker, not Joker, like the jokesy character compared to Bruce. It still wouldn't explain where all the rest of the Titans went, but
it also just breaks the whole power creep slope that the DCAU has, where Batman starts off dealing with, you know, criminals, and then the occasional freak show, and then lots of freak shows, and then some crazy sci-fi shit, and then Superman shows up, and then everything starts to just snowball upward. Everything snowballs uphill until it's literally in space. Which was kind of like the DCAU, when you look at it as like a continuous entity, it does have a very nice, like, escalation curve where it feels like the stakes are rising as you go. But yeah, that's just me. Meanwhile, back in Sailor Moon's universe, we're time stopping over and over and over again because that's the only winning strategy to fight these boss fights.
Back to our tangent.
Like, I'm trying to think of something to talk about that isn't DCAU, but it's all I've been watching for the last few days, so it's the only thing on my mind right now.
Well, I mean, the Batman's getting a Blu-ray release, so and a mother too, so
that is a show that I do need to watch.
It's a show that has a very weak first season, but then it gets much better after the fact.
Oh, that actually does remind me of something. Like, one of the things that I learned about JLU in particular recently, because it was being made around the time that they were making the Batman and the
Teen Titans.
And Teen Titans, yes. So they had what was called the Bat embargo in effect.
Yeah.
Which was one of the stupidest production decisions that they've ever made. Basically, they couldn't use Batman characters in more than one show or movie at a time. So like the Joker was reserved for the Nolan movies, Catwoman and Bane
Oh, wow.
and Ra's al Ghul were reserved for the Nolan movies. And
This
then
did work somewhat in Teen Titans' favor because it forced them to use the non-sidekick characters as the main cast besides Robin.
yeah, but like Robin was reserved for Teen Titans. So the Batman had to use Batgirl instead of Robin for a good chunk of time.
Yeah, because Dick shows up later, but
Yeah, that's after the embargo got lifted. And then like JLU couldn't use any of the Batman characters at all. So Nightwing, Batgirl, Robin, they all just sort of vanish off the face of the earth. And like the in-universe explanation for that would be they're watching Gotham City while Batman is off doing Justice League crap. But
he
like,
does reference the Titans once. But that's in Static Shock.
yeah. I think Static Shock was before the Bat embargo, actually.
Yeah, but it still technically counts as a reference, so.
Weird.
Although it is weird because there is one time where Speedy shows up in both shows with the same design.
Wouldn't that have been post Tim Drake Batman, though?
Yeah, I mean, it was during Justice League, so.
Yeah, that's
But
awkward.
No, it's just awkward because, again, Speedy shows up a few times in Teen Titans, which, the sidekick, teenager show is fine. But then then he shows up once in Justice League Unlimited, says one line, and then never appears again. And it's like, what the hell?
God damn it, die, you stupid How long is this thing gonna take to kill?
I mean, we basically have Poison Ivy here, so.
Yeah, that was... Speaking of the DCAU and Poison Ivy, that was an awkward transition. Poison Ivy goes from being like her old school, like, just a woman with a wrist crossbow and a lot of botany knowledge
to literal plant elf woman.
Yes. And there's no transition or explanation. She just sort of shows up one day, green, and I guess some experiment went wrong off screen, which, is plausible enough. There's a lot of years between seasons 3 and 4, but...
There we go.
Like, it's never explained. And it's so weird too, because in season 4, she's like green plant woman lady, but they adapt a story from her early BTAS regular woman with wrist crossbow days into Holiday Nights. So she still has the weird like actual poison lipstick that she has to apply and that Harley can use too, which doesn't fit her plant mutant like power set at all. So I don't get it. It's like sometimes the shows had like amazing attention to detail, and at other times they're just, yeah, whatever. Oh, good, another boss fight. I don't even recognize this one. God damn it.
Oh no.
This one is Vilui.
Good try.
I don't know. Let's just call her Silver Surfette. She looks like she's
yes.
surfing.
That's a character I never understood the appeal for.
Silver Surfer?
Yeah. He's a guy who shows up, warns that Galactus is coming, and then buggers off.
What?
Really? That's literally his main purpose, at least originally. He was there to go, like, hey, Galactus is coming, he's going to kill and eat you all. Have fun, bye.
Okay.
You're welcome, bye.
What does he do after that?
Whatever the writers felt like.
Does he even have an origin?
Oh, I'm sure he does. I'm not super familiar with him. It's just one of those. He was a character that was pushed pretty hard in the late 80s through the mid 90s. From, when we were super little. So it's like, I'm aware of him and what generally he did, but it's just like,
Of all the Marvel characters, Silver Surfer is the most Image Comics.
Yeah, well, it's because they only had Spider-Man and X-Men, so they were just kind of trying to shove any character they could at people. And Silver Surfer, I guess, had some level of popularity, so they're like, okay, let's try to use him.
Yeah, come to think of it, DC was generally better about using its extended cast before Marvel stumbled upon the cinematic universe formula.
No, it's just historical purpose for the most part. It's like just the characters were just around longer, so people were more familiar with them.
I guess. I'm just like, in the expanded DC comics, the DC had like all these different series that were at least moderately successful. For as bonkers as some of them were, like I still can't get over how many changes in direction there were in Power Girl's story arc. Like they literally could not decide on an origin story, and they finally like solidified her origin story in a story where a psychic bad guy plays on her confusion over her own origin to try to drive her crazy with all kinds of alternate origin stories.
I think they kept her mostly in Justice Society on Earth 2 for a long time.
Yeah, it was
We're totally making Kitty confused here, aren't we?
probably.
No, I'm listening.
She's getting a good education on superheroing.
I don't know. I don't think talking about Power Girl's fucked up origin story shenanigans is going to educate anyone about comics. It's more likely to turn them away from comics forever. Have you ever read
Was it the Power Girl stuff, the one with Darkseid on the couch, or was that Mary Marvel? I can't remember.
I don't know about Darkseid on the couch.
Okay, so that was probably Mary Marvel then.
Well, I don't know because I mostly know about the origin shenanigans secondhand. But Kitty, how have you like read comics at all?
Not in chronological order.
not in chronological. Well, that's fine. No one's read comics in chronological order. Unless they literally grew up with them and were like on a subscription, it was basically impossible to read them in chronological order.
Yeah, I feel bad because like I am the youngest here, and you guys know so much information, and I know like little bits.
That sounds like so much information to you. It's like literally just a surface level impression of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're basically just going over stuff that we know, which is from early 90s-ish at the earliest to now, compared to, oh yeah, there was the Golden Age and the Silver Age and the Bronze Age.
Yeah.
We haven't even gotten to Justice League Detroit yet.
But yeah, I'm enjoying the knowledge flow.
To give you an example of how weird stuff got, the origin of the Nightwing and Flamebird superhero names was this weird old story arc where Superman and Jimmy Olsen went into the bottle world of Kandor, which is a Kryptonian city. But because it's actually Krypton, Superman doesn't have superpowers there. But
which doesn't make any sense, but...
Well, it's because Red Sun.
I know.
But, okay, so he still wants to fight crime, so he becomes a gadget-based superhero, and he bases his identity on Batman, calls it Nightwing, and then
which
Jimmy
they retcon later, but...
they retcon it later, yeah, but Jimmy Olsen becomes a sidekick, and basing it on Robin, he becomes Flamebird. So the Nightwing and Flamebird superhero names eventually became Nightwing and Flamebird in the modern day. Like, Dick Grayson got the idea from Superman, who tells him this story about a legendary Kryptonian hero.
Which also got retconned, but...
Wait, they retconned that too?
Yes.
I thought that was the retcon.
That was a retcon, and they retconned it again.
Oh, okay. What did they retcon it into?
I'm not sure if it's specifically from New 52 onward, but basically, like, oh, the Nightwing is, like, some part of Kryptonian mythos, like, their whole Greek god thing, sort of thing. So.
Oh, that's what I was talking about.
Okay, I thought you were referring to, like, a different thing. My bad.
Yeah, like, Superman tells him the story of the myth of Nightwing and Flamebird, and Dick Grayson gets the idea for his superhero identity from that.
That was back when he was still Disco Dick. Lewis, do you read Wayne Family Adventures at all?
No.
Okay, so it's basically kind of a self-parody comic on Webtoon. The last free chapter, as far as this recording goes, was basically the extended Bat family, all the teenagers and stuff were doing a thing. And the penalty for losing was wearing the Disco Dick costume.
Oh.
And Dick Grayson's like, what? I like that costume. And this is why you... And Babs is like, this is why you don't participate anymore. You're impossible to embarrass.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man. Comics. I swear. And like I didn't even actually explain what I meant by Power Girl's origin story shenanigans. Okay, so early on she was introduced as a Kryptonian, I think. Like as Superman's cousin from space. But then she wasn't. Batman discovered that she wasn't actually Kryptonian at all. So she just sort of no one knew what her origin was, and eventually it was revealed that she was like the daughter of some Atlantean sorcerer.
Oh my god.
So she got her powers from there. But then it was revealed that this was a red herring too, because nobody liked that origin. It was lame. So nobody actually knew where she came from.
Again.
And then, like, finally they settled back on the Kryptonian origin and just said that she was from a different dimension.
And then they kind of put her back into Earth too for a long time.
Did they?
Yeah, she was kind of the Superman analog, besides Captain Marvel, obviously, for Justice Society, which is Earth 2.
Earth 2?
Which is before New 52 and a bunch of stuff. Again, comics.
Okay.
So she was there for a long period of time.
Huh. You know, that's like the one good decision they made during the New 52 era, was trimming down all the multiverse bullshit.
And then they brought it right back with, so... And then they had a good thing going with Super Sons, and then they ruined that too. Freaking aging up John Kent. It's like, freaking why? You had a good thing going.
DC, please. Fucking please. Just stop, please. Did Power Girl ever go back to remembering all of her origin shenanigans?
Beats me. She hasn't appeared much from what I can remember.
That's unfortunate. She was fun.